0, 1. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. In today's episode, I'm sharing with you all my exact S&P 500 game plan for tomorrow's market session on October the 28th. Big congratulations for everyone that joined me this morning during the live stream, which I showed you exactly how to navigate the market, and we made some good cash in the making, okay? So be sure to join me tomorrow morning at 9:30. Now, without further ado, let me get my big face out of the way so we can talk variations, okay? Now, as you can see on the chart already, there is a range potentially, okay? I don't necessarily love it, but there is a range here, okay? Now, besides that, what else is very important is the fact that from that breakout, we can ultimately say that this level right in here is going to be a major level of support in the future. It may not happen this week, but we will have to be aware that this is major support, okay? So as we talk about the variations in shop for today, just be aware that if we are in this crude idea that is a range, okay, then we can look for this full rotation above this range to be the deviation in distance we're expecting to go now down below this range, okay? So don't be too surprised if we do find a lot of support back down at this level, which is associated with right around 680, okay? Now, for us to get all the way down here, it's going to have to take, obviously, a momentum shift, but it won't change the overall momentum of the market, which is bullish, okay? Now, for us to get down here based on the bullish momentum, one would have to figure that we'd have to get in on a Gore pattern, which puts us in the greatest risk reward in that rotation coming down, okay? So in this situation, we'll get a shallow lower low, and which will then look to rotate again the full distance above, which would be below, okay? Now, it can look like a couple different variations as we ultimately get down to this low, but again, once we do get right around that 679, 680 level, we should see a nice attempt to at least retest and go back up, completing this overall range rotation, okay? Now, again, momentum is bullish, so it's far easier to buy this thing off of the low than it would be to actually sell this thing off the high, and which we'll talk about in just a few minutes, okay? But let's just say news comes in or something that's just like all hell breaks loose. Just be aware 680 is a major level of support, okay? Now, besides that, again, like I said before earlier on, I'm not necessarily thrilled with how this range looks. So this is my second variation in an idea, okay? Now, from this lower low down here, you can see we have broken out. And this breakout is very reminiscent of a cascading effect in which it ends up leading us into, in this situation, a fade to green pattern, okay? Now, from this situation, we have a big bullish move up. We've cascaded, gone higher, and even higher, okay? So that leads me to what could be a potential more shallow pullback. However, it should now look to retest that prior high, okay? So in this situation, we should see some sort of like three-legged pullback once we get underneath some of these prior pivots of support, which I will illustrate for you all right now, being right there, as well as here and here, okay? So with this being, again, a more shallow pullback, we should see us getting underneath at least some of these levels of support before we see a rebound, okay? Now, because this is going to be a bit more shallow, it will have to be an interesting pattern to get in. As you can see down here, we have a simple 2-try, but because the market will be a more shallow attempt, you're more than likely going to have to see this thing as either a Gore pattern or just a simple failure pattern, okay? So we'll mark this off this low. Let's just say that this is where it ends up going in a situation like so, okay? Now, because this is looked at as a fade to green pattern, we're simply only now looking to retest this prior high, whereas in this range rotation highlighted over here in green, we're actually expecting the market to now rotate all the way back up and swing, okay? Now, in this instance, it is the prior high, but just know that they are totally two different setups when trying to rotate back up, okay? So with that being said, this is going to be green, and we can kind of change this to just a different color. And yeah, so these are going to be my primary paths, at least for tomorrow's session. We can even go a bit higher and then still do this same dance, okay? If we do go higher, then I would be favoring the fact that this is more than likely not going to be a range, and that this prevailing strategy here, highlighted in this red to blue scenario, is more likely going to be appropriate, okay? However, if we do find ourselves immediately in tomorrow's market session rotating all the way down, it's going to be very important how you view the market, because again, we're either going to be looking at this thing in a range rotation in which we're buying off of this low, Or some people will still be viewing this as that second scenario, which we're cascading up and looking for a fade to green. So it's very important that you can read the market structure and then adapt to the context of the day, okay? Which is why I do have a live stream every single Monday through Friday. It's free.
I know it's hard to trust so-called gurus. That's why I live stream my trades every single day, Monday through Friday, starting at 9:30 a.m. The live stream isn't for you to copy my trades, it's to show proof and credibility that my strategy works. The stream is delayed and muted to protect my edge. But if you want to see everything unmuted and in real time, check out the Discord and Patreon links below. You'll get exclusive perks and the opportunity to learn the system for yourself, so you don't miss great opportunities just like this one.
All right, everyone. So you're going to be seeing a trade that I just recently took live during the stream, and ultimately you can be a part of this too, so make sure you look down below. But when taking a look at the trade that we just recently took here, it was the objective coming in was the fact that we had a really big move push to the upside, okay? Now this big move to the upside was basically counterplayed by a pullback, and subsequently our entry was to look to get in right above a couple pivots to retest the prior high, okay? So what you're seeing right now is the replay of my actual entry, which was right here at this 68.1925 area. And again, ultimately, like I was saying before, our main objective from this standpoint is to look to try to retest this prior high back at 68, let's just say 38. So what we are looking at right now is my volatility-based stop loss in perfect action, okay? Every trade and every day has a different stop loss based on the volatility of the day specific. So when taking a look at this trade specifically, you can see that we came relatively close to getting stopped out, okay? However, we did not get stopped out, and we ultimately reversed just like we were expecting. Now, obviously a bit deeper of a correction, but everything was within the wheelhouse of what we were expecting. And as you can soon see here in just a few seconds, we ended up getting that first target as it hits right there. And then with a little bit more patience, we did end up getting the second target as well. Now just be aware, after you get your first target, you do want to stop the risk, which is why we did pull the stop up to right around and or above our entry pivot, okay? Now from this standpoint, again, we were just waiting, being patient. And I was referencing in this part of the video what we talked about in our afternoon game plan videos, okay? I was basically saying that we were looking at this in terms of that green case scenario that we mentioned on our nightly recap videos, and that we were essentially looking for a continuation going higher, okay? Now we kind of phased that back to where we were. We did have that bigger move that went up, and now this is the three-legged pullback, and again, the retest to the high. Now, at the very least, I am expecting it to retest the high and potentially continue going higher, which is why we have those targets above us, okay? But in essence, we ended up getting that next target with a bit of patience. Definitely some patience was required. And then we ended up tightening up our stop loss and then getting trailed out without hitting the extension, okay? Now, all in all, this was a $2,500 trade. So if you want to be a part of the situation just like this, then be sure to look down below for the Discord / Patreon links, or come and join the muted, delayed live stream every 9:30 here on the YouTube channel.